India is on the move, a nation accelerating towards global economic dominance. With a dynamic mix of innovation, resilience and ambition, the Indian economy is rewriting the playbook, capturing global attention as it races toward a brighter future. And this pivotal moment was brought into sharp focus at the recently concluded 10th edition of the Times Network India Economic Conclave held in New Delhi. For a decade, the India Economic Conclave has been the torchbearer of the nation's economic narrative, tackling the most pressing issues and driving conversations that shape policy and progress. This year was no exception. Under the compelling theme, Fast Track to Top 3, the conclave ignited discussions on India's aspirations to cement its place among the world's top 3 economies. Top editorial voices, visionaries, policymakers and industry leaders convened to exchange insights, strategies and solutions to accelerate India's growth story. India is on the move, and the India Economic Conclave remains at the heart of the conversation, shaping the road ahead. In this episode, XANGAM brings forth an innovative approach to insurance through digitization, an insight into how insurance can reach all.
So Tulsiji, you have been, you have seen the economic cycles and the business cycles in both the US and in India, because your experience in the US has been into the cutting edge, research on fuel cell, still in the formative years. What kind of lessons can India take when we want to be in the top 3? Because US has been a top economy in the globe while you were there and also now. What kind of lessons do we take from the economic progress or the journey of the US when we take this ambition to fast track to top 3?
Thank you, Bharat. India, in last 10 years has been on the world radar. Everyone knows that. There is every reason now, obviously, for every Indian in India as well as out of India to aspire for what we are calling is the 3rd rank. Maybe someday 2nd rank, dare to do 1st rank, decades to come. Fair enough. My prime concern is that it's not about only that ranking of GDP, because that is not a sufficient condition. You see, GDP, with due respect to the economists, we have been measuring GDP only in quantitative terms. Ever since it was invented in 1934 by Nobel laureate economist, we are not measuring the quality aspect of GDP. So it is not enough just to talk about GDP in terms of quantity. It is also equally important to talk about in terms of quality. I'll mention, and this is not a theoretical construct, let me mention to you about, you mentioned about USA, which is the 1st ranker now, right? And US was the 1st ranker in 1970s also when I went as a student to America. But that America and this America are two opposite Americas. We need to understand clearly that what is the difference between first USA, there was a time post-World War 1945 to around mid-70s, that's the time I went to America. Economy grew in America from practically negative in 1945 to a point where average American had a 70% prosperity, average American, by the time mid-70s. What does that mean? That 30% of your time is invested for basic survival needs, whereas 70% extra time is available where people could think and do creative work. And there is a second America, that is now. in last 40 to 50 years, American economy has declined in terms of quality to so bad that even full year of working is not sufficient for survival for average American. It is negative actually. So tell me, we are calling this America also first, and 70s America was also first. Which America we want to become? So which one do we want to follow? This is a crucial question.
So can you give me one illustration in terms of what exactly is maybe one life aspect that has changed
Yeah,
radically?
see, I mean, as I said that GDP has a positive quality and negative quality, correct? So while we are saying, say, GDP is a 10%, we need to be sure about what percentage of that GDP is positive GDP and what percentage is negative GDP. Let me give you an example. Let us take an example of that you have an economy where you have 100 rupees of food economy. But food is of such nature that you fall sick. And then you go to hospital, you waste your time and your personal money to cure yourself. And that economy is, say, 400 rupees economy. On the whole, GDP will be measured what? 500 rupees of economy. Fair enough. But the point is, suppose if you had a better food at a little higher price of 100 to 150, and you had a preventive health care as your health care economy of not 400 rupees, instead 200 rupees. So on the whole, you will have only 350 rupees of economy. But which is the economy which is better economy? And then the time and money that you would have saved in the preventive health care, people will be investing in creative and you could generate 300 rupees more economy, a better economy going beyond the original 500 rupees economy, which has a GDP, has a negative content in that.
Right. I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. So I think, Guru, I'll have a very specific question to you. As we fast track and grow to number 3, it has to be inclusive growth for sure. How can digital transformation and definitely the idea of 100% penetration in insurance actually help us to achieve this inclusive growth and still reach number 3?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, and thank you, Tulsi, for this broad outlook which it gave on the economy. And I take your particular point on inclusiveness and how that is going to, how, as an example of XANGAM, we are implementing inclusiveness is via digital transformation. I take the example of insurance penetration. I think there is nothing more inclusive than the vision of our Prime Minister, in which he has implemented PMJJBY, Prime Minister Jan Jeevan Bima Yojana. And this goes to the entire spectrum, at least from a perspective of personal accident. This is one of the largest in the whole world. And I'm very happy to say, from XANGAM perspective, we got the technology. In fact, we have a product which actually processes those applications very rapidly, very fast. And we're talking about cases like around 2 lakhs per second. So definitely digital transformation is helpful because it's a no-brainer that if it's done manually, it may almost never ever be possible to achieve the vision of inclusiveness which has been given by our Prime Minister.
Thanks again.
Welcome to XANGAM, Architects of Digital Transformation, where innovation meets excellence. We're a team of deep tech innovators working across various industries. And this is my team.
Ladies and gentlemen, you get a sense of what XANGAM is into, the kind of innovation it is using, it is bringing for its customers using technology, tailor-made solutions. And we are here today to talk about how this can really benefit the insurance sector. The topic of discussion is empowering the unorganized sector with innovative insurance. And I'd like to begin this discussion with you, Ms. Pritha Dutt, because IRDI has got a vision that it needs everybody, every individual in this country to be covered by insurance, to have some kind of an insurance by 2047. Because India has an aim to become a developed nation, Viksit Bharat by 2047. And if we want to, fast track to the top 3 economies in the world, this needs to be done. Now, to be able to achieve this, we also need to keep in mind the unorganized sector. There is a large chunk of population that is unorganized, but it's a very important wheel when it comes to economic progress that our country, is experiencing. So can you tell us firstly a little bit about the challenges that exist to fill this gap, unorganized versus the organized space?
Thank you, Hina. Moment that we talk of Viksit Bharat, and you rightly said, there is a huge number that needs to be filled, and that's the unorganized. To give you a sense, India is largely an unorganized sector economy.
Then it's an even bigger problem.
Even bigger problem. 83 to 88% is unorganized. Yeah, and that's includes farm sector, non-farm sector, gig workers, domestic workers, unincorporated enterprises. And that is really the bulk. The formal sector is only 13 to 17, 20% maximum. 38% of the GDP comes from the unorganized informal sector. What does that mean? That means there is no employer-employee relationship. That means there is no contract. That means there is no, benefits and, terms and conditions of service. That's like a little, casual nature of employment. They are free, there is no safety net, and that's completely left to open, to decide how do they, go about their life and career and, income and livelihood. There are a number of insurance schemes that Honorable Prime Minister has started and the country does have. Still suffer from 3 challenges. One is how many people are even aware that they exist, how to even access kind of those, what are the mechanisms. If you don't have an employer, you don't have anybody, there is nobody doing that for you. So you are left kind of exposed. So awareness is one key factor.
Well, you have the problem here, Mr. Ramachandran, and you provide tailor-made solutions. So we want to understand from you, how can we solve this problem of bringing the unorganized sector under the insurance net?
Yeah, Hina, first of all, many thanks for elucidating this fact and acknowledging that insurance penetration is one of the key factors for taking India to top 3. We at XANGAM have created a lot of technologies, and as I had mentioned previously, invested very heavily in 2 tracks. One is creating technologies and getting them to address the solutions. And second is also we have invested in domain sort of expertise in this particular area to create multiple solutions, not one, but multiple solutions. Actually, to answer your question, I would like to take, let's say, 2 examples and give a broad base and give a very specific answer. Let's take an example of one of the fastest growing segments in India, quick commerce. So quick commerce basically means you do deliveries within 10 minutes or so, 10, 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes or so. Today, the Honorable Transport Minister in the morning actually mentioned and highlighted a fact of road accidents happening because of this factor, not wearing helmets and so on and so forth, because they had to really deliver within time. Now, quick commerce is really boosting the economy, but there are these impediments. Now, how do you take care of it? I sincerely believe that insurance can take care of it, but how do you do that? So we have to have a new paradigm in insurance called microinsurance. It's already there, but really only for that particular ride, which makes it safe for these delivery partners to reach us on time. And that will remove the roadblocks to quick commerce. Okay, as an example. So these highly unorganized delivery partners are then served by insurance. There are many factors, and I will not go into the detail, and that's where XANGAM and its technology comes into picture of getting to a micro-insurance and facilitating the same. Let's take another example of the unorganized segment. Maids, basically. I mean, we cannot do without maids, and this was very apparent, especially during COVID, when this was a problem. I mean, we get holidays, and even if we are in any other field, couple of days or one day, maids don't get holidays. They have to work. That has an effect on their health. But what can be done about it? Nothing. As in, so for this also, we can have a solution from my perspective, and we can have an insurance. We can have the lady of the house, who usually is, let's say, the contractor of those maids, because it's highly unorganized once again. And apart from the salary which they pay, they can contribute 100 rupees, 50 rupees, depending on how much they want. And we can actually get, for a month, a health insurance with a sum assured of 1 lakh. Actually, it's so simple. But the challenge is, how do you get every lady of the house to contribute 50 rupees, and how do you get to the insurance companies? That requires technology. And that's what is XANGAM all about. Creating these very deep-rooted technologies which will make life simple, but yet secure, for the unorganized segment. So I think this is how, as an example, I wanted to mention that technology and the digital transformation will help this unorganized segment in those two areas.
Can you tell us, because everybody today has smartphones, so do you think this perhaps can be another way of reaching out to the unorganized sector faster?
Absolutely. In our research, like I told, we looked into smartphones by which the benefits reach out, as well as, assessments and so on and so forth came. We actually did research. We found that most of the, how will I put it, the unorganized segment don't even have smartphones. What do you do in that case? So our technologies actually ride and work on even 2G. So yes, you're right. The phone, which is personal and medium of interaction, helps, but it's not necessarily only smartphones. It's dumb phones, which are actually at this point in time the most, let's say, prevalent tool of interaction for the unorganized segment. So all of our solutions, we make sure, work on dumb phones as well, just as a link which comes as an SMS, which is ubiquitous, and then the link then opens up to all the services, the window of the portal of the services, and interaction, and so on and so forth. So that's how we do that, Hina. Just one point, I'm sorry, I would like to mention is, and it's a very important point which Preeta mentioned, it's about awareness. So we also realized that to get to be aware, we need to actually reach out to the masses. So we have come across something called, we created a format called Play Safe, as in play the game of your life safely, especially for the unorganized segment, where we have divided into two segments. One is we try to find the problem areas with industry leaders, as respectable, my friend Preeta, and many others for the farmers, maids we talked about, for construction workers, and which literally covers 2/3 of the population of India.
Right.
Yeah, and then we got these questions curated, and we are in the process of doing so, and curated, and then take it to the industry leaders. Maybe the insurance companies, the banking, the healthcare, they have solutions, but they are not aware. So we use a medium, maybe with ET itself, and we basically get the awareness quotient really high. So I think that is something also we are investing our CSR funds to take it forward.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, both of you. Those were like really important points that you made. And before we wrap up, we would like to play another AV for our audience present here to get more insight into what can really be done and the kind of solutions that currently exist.
India doesn't have crop insurance. This is a credit insurance.
You have insurance products today which are not affordable by majority.
The investments which farmers make is exposed to multiple risks.
So the urban company beautician who comes home is she's considered a self-employed person. So they are all gig workers. None of them are covered under any social security benefit. They don't get wages.
Human life comes very cheap in India. This needs to change.
Indian farmer is born in debt, lives in debt and dies in debt. And we are in 2024. Things have changed. Technology has changed. Governments have changed. But farmers' lives have not changed. The risk of farming is still continuing.
In a nation where farmers live and die in debt, where women work tirelessly without security, and where countless lives remain undervalued, the need for change is undeniable. But change begins with trust, affordability, and awareness. It starts with a vision, one born from the belief that every individual, no matter their circumstances, deserves protection and opportunity.
I was not quite happy and didn't find my calling just being a tech company and solving some tech solutions without making any benefit and or effect to society per se. The bottom of the pyramids almost always never got any benefits. Going deeper, I found is that they don't have a safety net. They are playing a very risky game of life, and I wanted them to play a safe game of life. So that is play safe. So what we are trying to do is get the technologies which will percolate down to these huge segments of the bottom of the pyramid and empower them with knowledge and or education and democratize opportunities, make them basically participate more with the whole society per se.
XANGAM has partnered with ET Now and the Times Network to bring this vision to life through conversations with domain experts, solutions from industry leaders, and a mission to secure dreams one step at a time.
We are now in the process, in the midst of understanding the issues, putting it all together, curating it into problem statements, which the industry leaders can educate us of various solutions which already exist and or create new products and new solutions which can help the bottom of the pyramid.
Thank you very much.